How's it going, everybody? ZoinkMeister Patrick here, joined again by Adam of ZoinkMeister.
Yep, as always.
And we're bringing the podcast back with today's topic, which is, do games have to be in a series? And this was a topic Adam originally made, so we can hear what he thinks that means first, and then I can say what I thought that meant, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, and first, why specifically this topic? We have a whole bunch of topics we have, on a board.
Yeah, we made a list way back. Adam made his list before the channel started. I made my list after joining the channel. But yeah, we have two separate lists of what each of us thought were good topics back when this podcast was done way
back when.
Way back months and months ago. But so they're still there.
It's been like a year, I feel.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
So some of them are more or less applicable depending on the topic, but
yeah,
they're all still there.
Anyways, yeah, random generator, this and that. Basically picking one out of a hat, and this is the one that we came across. So
yeah, nothing special with this topic
nothing
this
in
time.
particular.
But we think it'll work.
Yeah. So what does it mean? Does the game have to be in a series? So the way when I wrote it, I interpreted it is kind of like when you release a game, does it always have to be a successor to the previous chronologically? Like when you tell a story.
Okay, like Legend of Zelda versus...
Yeah, like Zelda, kind of. Like, you can either say all of those are in the timeline, or you could just not, and they would both kind of work. Like, in fact, I feel like they make the games first, and then, I feel like it can squeeze in right here.
Yeah.
And then just blop it on the timeline. But,
I know a lot of people think that timeline's, like BS. Like, they just, okay, let's make a timeline as best we can, stuff in.
Yeah, and then with time, they kind of made games that actually do follow the timeline. But when it was first announced, I could see how people were poking holes in it like cheese. But yeah, Legend of Zelda style, or even the new God of War, they could have completely just abandoned the entire previous series.
Right.
And this could have just...
Which it felt like they almost did that.
Yeah, they almost did that. Atreus never...
Spoilers for God of War.
Yeah, you should have played the game of the year already, so...
There you go.
If you didn't, I'm sorry. Just go play it, it's good. But,
there you go.
Aside the fact from that, it's only Kratos knew his past, and then other godlike figures that knew he was a god.
Right.
But even that, Atreus never learns his past.
Yeah, hardly at least.
Yeah, he could have. You could have never played. Again, I own.
I didn't play God of War.
Yeah, exactly. I own God of War. I think 3, because of PS Plus.
Okay.
And then I think I own one of the PSP games because of the Sony hack forever ago. I think it was one of the free games they provided.
Gotcha. I wasn't around at that time.
Yeah, and again, I didn't even play them. God of War.
Yeah.
The new God of War 2018 is...
Very different game. I feel like there's a couple things that maybe you can see ahead of time. Like the whole, when Zeus appears in the sky, if you're not familiar with that scene...
Yeah, that's weird. But that's one of those things, again, I didn't play it.
Right.
I mean, but you kind of get... If you know games, you kind of get what's going on. For the most part.
Yeah, it's there's his past coming back to haunt him.
But again, you could have just not... They could have just cut those small references out, and then you still would have got the whole game for the most part. It could have been completely...
Although apparently knowing Norse mythology might have spoiled some stuff for you.
That's really weird. I mean, it's cool. I mean, I'm pretty sure the next God of War is going to have...
I'm sure that was the point.
Yeah, that was the point. But I feel it was already kind of we have a Greek god in the Norse world that you didn't have high expectations. Plus, Norse is, I feel an underappreciated...
Yeah, I feel like there's
gods,
less Norse because you didn't have to do that in high school and stuff. Definitely. Greek, you had to do the Odyssey and stuff like that.
Yeah, they very heavily wanted to show you where...
We had to do the Odyssey.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I mean, as far as language goes, they wanted to make sure you covered your basic Greek, Roman, early British literature, but...
So from your point of view, we're asking, right, so does a game need to be a successor to its previous games as the title? Yeah,
or even so, I mean... When we were, talking about what this could mean beforehand.
Right. So I was thinking when I read it, all this time later, I was thinking I thought the question was saying, does a game have to have a sequel? Can't you, if a game's different enough, can't you just make it a different game? Why does it have to slap the name Zelda 2? Zelda 2 is probably the worst name slap on of any game in history.
It's not even The Legend of Zelda. It's Zelda 2, The Adventures of Link.
No. You know what? Super Mario 2. That's the worst slap-on title.
Oh my gosh.
Doki Doki Panic.
Doki Doki Panic. It's a ROM hack.
They literally just stole a game and are like, let's slap Mario on there. What happened in Japan? In Japan, was there...
So, I believe the original story is the true Super Mario Bros. 2.
Is Lost Worlds, right?
It's Lost Worlds here. It's the original 2 over there.
Gotcha.
And 2 was deemed too difficult for the Western audience.
of course, right.
Yeah, and
Japan's so weird about difficulty in Mario
yeah,
Kart.
they are.
That's a different topic.
Yeah, that's a different topic for a different day. So they deemed it too hard, so for some reason they took Doki Doki Panic. And it's weird because, those games, Doki Doki Panic, those individual characters that none of us will ever know because, who's going to play Doki Doki Panic, those have become mainstay traits. Luigi's, like, Twinkle Toes Jump or whatever you call it.
Absolutely.
That's from that game.
Yes. Peach's
Float, which is now, like, literally...
Toad's Run Speed.
Yeah, these are aspects that, like, came... I'm not sure which one...
If you've played 3D World, it's like that's...
Yeah.
3D World's the, like, spiritual successor and 3D Land.
Doki Doki Panic, yeah. It's
to
like,
Doki Doki Panic.
Yeah. It's, like, weird like that. Like, I guess Mario games, right? They could all be sequels or prequels to each other. You could never know.
Right.
What would ever matter?
You could play Mario games in any order. It wouldn't matter.
It would never matter. Like, having a name convention, you can call it Super Mario Bros. Every single year.
Yeah. And to some degree, I feel like that kind of works for Nintendo in that they're like, oh, let's make a generic platforming game. We'll call it Mario because the story doesn't matter.
Yeah, it never has. The princess is missing.
Right. And so...
Bad guy.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, though, more like modern titles where... it'll be hard to think of an example off the top of my head. But it's like something with, a really heavy story... And then they go out, and it's like, I don't know, like the only one that comes to mind, since I know another one's coming up, is like The Last of Us was really good.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people really liked it.
Yep.
I personally didn't like it, but that's not important. The Last of Us was a really good game, and it's like, did it need a sequel? It had a really ending. The ending was solid.
Yeah, it was interesting. In fact, I mean, coming off of that end, so I have a daughter.
Yeah.
So the first couple seconds of that the first couple minutes where, spoiler alert, Joel's original daughter's gunned down.
Yeah.
And then, the whole point of it is kind of like the ending leaves you with this impression of, does dooming the world, was it more important to Joel than his new daughter?
Surrogate daughter.
Yeah, his surrogate daughter. And you could tell that it's not like a descent into madness. It's
I hated as a person, which is why I didn't
Joel?
like that game. No, Joel I liked. The surrogate daughter, Ellie.
Oh, Ellie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she was a young kid, and I mean, do you like everyone in Mad Max is?
I shook my head, by the way.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's that was the sound of your head shaking.
Yeah.
It's like a loose rattle.
Yeah.
Creak. Yeah, it's like a lot of people. She's a kid in a post-apocalyptic world, so like, yeah, she was a little annoying, but at the same time, like, everyone's annoying. Like, we were just talking completely unrelated to the subject about how much I just dislike the infamous Second Son character, Delson.
Yeah,
like,
Delson.
I very dislike that character, but that game was fun. That was still a good game. I just didn't like that character.
And that's the thing. I don't know what the difference... For me, characters are usually a really important part of a game. I'm like a big on character. Like, I've watched a couple shows where I hated... The show was really bad. It was a terrible show. But they had like one character that was so well written that I watched the entire show just to see that character play out.
Yeah.
And so to me, like, a character can make and break a thing. And so The Last of Us, it kind of broke it for me. But I don't know why it didn't with Second Son, because I agree with Adam that, like, Delson wasn't a good character. His brother was good, but Delson himself was kind of a weirdo.
It's probably the movement and just the way the game played were so good that you
That's true. Also, traversal mechanics is my biggest thing in games.
Yeah.
And that's one you can't pass up if you're into traversal mechanics.
Yeah, that game is great. If you haven't played that game, sorry for everyone who doesn't own a PS4. You should at this point, I feel, because this generation's been mostly PS4, Switch, and PC.
Right.
But... Yeah, that movement in that game is just so good.
I overheard someone saying, this is not terribly related. Oh, but it kind of is. Here we go. It's kind of related. I remember when I was in college, I overheard someone saying, I just got a PlayStation 4, man. And then the person talking to him was like, oh, dude, you have to get... And then they said a game name. And that is, I think, a topic all on its own. What game do you have to get? I'm doing air quotes for the PlayStation 4. But he said Horizon Zero Dawn.
Okay, I guess...
And I was like, I don't know if I would say the first game to get on PlayStation is Horizon Zero Dawn.
That's not the first game I'd get.
But that's a game. Should it have a sequel, right? Does that game have to be a series? It was so popular. Everyone loved it. Do we now need a Horizon Zero Dawn 2? It's like, no, it was good. We need a 2. Does that game, I haven't finished the game. I don't know if that game merits a sequel or not.
I believe it's already been semi-confirmed that Horizon is the series. And Zero Dawn is the first part.
Horizon Zero Dawn is definitely the most grab bag 3 words anyone could think of.
Yeah, no, they took 3
that
random...
game, if you're unfamiliar with Horizon Zero Dawn, I like explaining it, and the only reason I'm re-explaining it now is because I like explaining it. It's prehistoric cavemen fighting robot dinosaurs in the future.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And if that interests you, check out Horizon Zero Dawn.
Really cool. I've always liked games that are so far in the apocalypse that they're cavemen.
Yeah.
I mean, it's another one of those untapped, like...
So distant future, we're in the past?
Yeah. It's one of those cliche, finds the Statue of Liberty buried under the sand. Yeah. They blew it up. One of those things where like you thought you were in the past or some alternate world, but you're actually just really far in the future.
Plot twist, it was the future.
Yeah, like Nier Automata was super far in the future.
Nier Automata's broken future.
Yeah, that one is so far in the future.
Does Nier Automata need a sequel? Okay, that's part of the Drakengard series, but it barely is part of the Drakengard series.
To be fair, it didn't have to be, right? Like that's a standalone game for the most part. In fact, I'm sure most of the players who play it didn't even know.
If you've never played the original Nier for the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, I highly recommend going out and trying that game because it's very well written. If you've played none of the Drakengard games in the series, they're all really weird, and the only one that's worth checking out is probably Nier or maybe Drakengard 3.
It is worth noting that the PS3 and 360 versions are different.
Yes, I believe the 360 one is...
That's the one where you're the man and not the brother, right?
Yeah, and that's something... It's
really interesting.
It's not terribly on topic, but the idea is the two different versions are in one of the... I'm going to spoil the plot of Nier, which I highly recommend not listening to, because Nier is written incredibly well. The writer for Nier and the writer for Nier Automata is a spectacular, spectacular writer. He can't do anything else. At all.
To be fair, he's also a very out there guy.
He is.
And then for the most part, Nier games they're like very niche.
Yes.
And then Automata's like the first game to step out of the niche limelight.
Yeah, the Drakengard series is very niche.
Yeah, and to be fair, a lot of that is
the games aren't good.
The hentai-ness of that is like they made it very sexy, this game.
Yeah.
And like she also became a meme, and then but the game was good. Like it wasn't just like they didn't make just the main character 2B, right?
2B, yes.
Yeah,
and
2B,
and well, because Automata they brought in Platinum Games, which is really good at developing
they're really good action gaming
combat systems.
Yeah.
So now you have excellent story writing, 1, excellent combat systems, 2, and nothing else. That game has nothing else good going for it.
I mean, Harley loves Platinum games, and I don't necessarily love Platinum games, but all those games are like they're not good as far as writing goes. They're not well.
No, that's
combat wise, Bayonetta,
combining...
Vanquish, those are great action games.
Yeah,
but the stories are.
If
Vanquish
only Platinum could hire a good writer. And it happened the other way around. The writer hired Platinum, but still.
Because oh my gosh, Vanquish, it's one of the worst stories. They set it up for a sequel.
But it's hilariously bad.
Spoilers. I have a whole video that completely spoils the end of Vanquish, which, trust me, you don't care because
it doesn't matter.
It's an action game.
You can watch it.
Yeah, you're there for the gameplay. You're not there for the story. But the
story's hilarious.
Yeah, the Russian Dracula drifts off into space.
Yeah.
Phase, we've taken over Earth and the super arc destruction device. Step 1 is complete. Yeah. And then he turns and there's a monitor to a faceless, even worse than the bad guy. They already took over Earth. What else is left? Phase 1? That was phase 1?
I really want to Vanquish 2 just to find out where that nonsense story goes next.
I want to Vanquish 2 as well. And that game, again, I'm always going to say it was okay. Just because, it was really good and just really okay everywhere else and then bad in a few other places. Yeah. But, oh my god, what they did good, they did really good.
Does Vanquish need a sequel? Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, Vanquish needs a sequel.
We're staying on topic. If you guys think we're off topic, this is all important.
Is related banter.
Yeah.
So Vanquish needs a sequel. Because that gameplay is astounding. That is a really good gameplay. But it was a very...
I don't know if I want them to get a better writer or not, because it's so bad. I kind of want it to stay bad.
that story, wherever it's going, it needs to stay. It's too late. Like, they can't.
Yeah, you can't hire what's his name? Taro? I don't remember his first name.
Toro or Moro Toro or something like that. I don't know.
You can't hire him on now, because he's too good of a writer for this.
It's too late. So, it's... That game... Oh, there's no saving the story. They have to go with the rest of the bad story, which at this point, I feel like it's going to be cartoonishly bad. They should just go all the way with it.
It needs to be. Just commit. It's so hard. But anyway, so Nier Automata is really good. I recommend the game if you like good action games, if you like really well-written stories. And then Nier, the original Nier, does not have as good combat mechanics because they don't have Platinum. It only has a really incredibly well-written story. That guy is such an incredible writer for video games. So the big difference between the two versions of that game that's really important, I think, and something that I think might even be a topic on its own, and I think Adam could add a lot to this because of his perspective. The two different versions are, one of them, the original, quote, canon version, I guess you could say, is you play as... So the plot of the game is you play as a guy, I'm just going to leave it at that, and you have a girl who is a family member. Something bad happens to her, and you have to save her. And in the process of saving her, you do some messed up stuff. That's basically, like, I don't want to spoil too much, right? So that's kind of the very vague plot line. Also, you have to play the game multiple times. You can't play both those games, Nier and Nier Automata, have several endings, of which...
Several is an understatement.
They're all canon, and they're all important.
Yes. That is a game that opens up with
Nier Automata has 26 endings.
Yes. One for every letter.
Yes, one for every letter, and there's only 5 of them are main canon endings, and then the other ones are...
one of them is just like dying immediately because you unplug your OS chip, right?
Oh, yes, yeah, there's that
like
one.
An inventory management system, and one of them is your operating system.
Yeah.
And you could just pull it out, and you die instantly.
Another one is someone hands you a fish, a mackerel, and they're like, I heard that if an android eats a mackerel, they die. I want to test this. So could you eat this mackerel for me? And if you eat the mackerel, you get an ending. You get a game over. It's like you died. So, that game's some nonsense. I remember the first one I got is if you run away from like a boss, like a coward, you get an ending where it's like 2B ran away like a coward and was never seen again.
Wow, that's really good.
Yeah, the endings are incredible. But so the original Nier, so like I said, that's a super vague. So the difference between them is either you play as a teenager and the girl is your sister, your little sister, by a couple years. And so the idea is she is in trouble and you save her by doing some like messed up stuff.
Of course.
Versus the other one is you're an older man, you're like in your 40s, and this girl is your daughter.
See, those are two very different things, right?
Dynamics. And so that's, to me, I feel like the story was much more impactful when you played as the old man. And another thing is one of your teammates, there's 2 different teammates. There's Emile, who's in Automata, and then there's the girl whose name I don't remember, and she's not in Automata, and she kind of like falls in love with you. But her age is a lot closer to the teenager, because the teenager is the canonical, that's the real version of the story, supposedly. Okay. So that dynamic kind of...
Which one? That's the PS3 version, right?
That's the PlayStation 3 version.
Okay.
That version makes more sense from that relationship, which is a large portion of the story. But the premise of the story, that you're saving this girl and doing like stuff that is really terrible, I think works a lot better when you're her dad.
Yeah, so for the most part, I mean, I have a sister and I have a daughter.
Right.
So
I only have a sister.
Yeah. So, I mean, as far as story goes, I mean, I feel like it's universally, people can have different opinions, but I feel like it's universal that usually relationships between children can be more impactful than it would be with a sibling. Because, I mean, a sibling can be a bad guy.
Right. It's like...
And then, that's okay. Like, I'm going to stop that bad guy. Right. But, like...
And people, there's, like, a lot of, like, sibling rivalry type stuff.
Yeah, but back to The Last of Us, it is a flip of a coin how you want to interpret that ending when he does, if you haven't played the game, whatever it is that bad thing is at the end. It's like, oh my gosh, he did that for his daughter. And then the opposite being, would I have done the same for my daughter? It's like, it leaves an everlasting thing on you where it's, I mean, they're not technically brothers, but JoJo's Bizarre Adventure with Dio.
Dio? We're going to bring JoJo up?
We're going to bring JoJo up.
Adam recently started JoJo, and I told him it's the most referenceable piece of material in anime history.
If you haven't watched JoJo's Bizarre Adventure...
And here we are, immediately bringing up JoJo.
You have to... I'm going to try to low-key push him in almost every content we could put.
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is a wonderful, wonderful television show. Season 5 just started. It's still airing right now. And I recommend it to people, even if you don't like anime. It's just...
It's good.
It's art.
Like, you don't understand. It's really good. And, like, everything... They use a very original versions of tropes in that.
Yes.
Yeah, it's really nice. I highly recommend go watch it if you haven't. But, like, Dio is like his not brother.
Right. It's his adopted brother.
Yeah, adopted brother. Because of unrelated circumstance that has nothing to do with blood.
Yeah.
It has to do with something in the father's past that leads him to this event. Dio is like one of the baddest bad guys. Like
he's the most evil person I've ever seen in any storyline.
This is no Darth Vader cartoon nonsense. Right. Or like this is straight up.
He's like a realistic evil.
Like
I mean, he's not a realistic character, but it's just like his evilness itself.
I'm gonna spoil something real quick. He goes out and finds JoJo's girlfriend and forcibly kisses her just so he could say that JoJo didn't kiss you first. Like that was like a messed up thing on several.
He found his adopted brother's girlfriend and made out with her so that he would be her first kiss over his adopted brother. He attacked her. This way.
And she was like the most innocent girl in the entire. Like it's ridiculous. It was so bad. It was like one of those things where he wanted to steal this.
He just did it to attack.
He wanted
JoJo.
steal something that was so extremely personal.
Yeah.
Like, why would he
that
do
that that Jojo could never get back?
Yeah. Oh man.
Jonathan.
Yeah. It's Jonathan. Specifically Jonathan Joseph.
So, but that shows you like a sibling thing where it's like if your daughter got kidnapped by a supervillain, what atrocities would you commit? Versus if your sister got kidnapped by a supervillain.
Yeah, it's like one of the, like, I have to get her versus like I will do anything.
Yeah,
like
right.
I
mean, like if my sister was kidnapped, it's like I'll definitely try to save her, but like I'm not gonna throw acid in a baby's face for it.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things where it's like
that doesn't happen in the game, by the way.
Yeah, that doesn't
That's a
happen.
reference to 1984 by George Orwell.
Again, it's like it's one of those things where it's just like, a sibling versus the child impaction, especially if you have children, because then you, like, I didn't know what, you think you're in love, but I didn't realize what legitimate unconditional love was until I became a father, is that, you almost see the humanity in the writing when a child's involved. You're like, oh man, this is a tough decision.
Yeah. So that,
like, I think really rationally.
Yeah.
Like, if someone said like, we're gonna have to kill your daughter, or we're gonna have to kill 10 doctors, I'd be like, well, then I'm afraid you're gonna have to kill my daughter, because rationally speaking, it'd be better to save 10 doctors because they're gonna go on and save more people.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's really hard.
Could you look her in the eyes and do it?
Yeah, exactly. It's easy to say that, right?
Yeah.
But like when the time comes, if you write the story good enough, you can have the best. It's just it's hard. So I could see why having the near, where he's the father and not the
so conclusion, I recommend the version, it's called Gestalt, where you play as the father, and I recommend that over the other version, just because I think even the relationship dynamic kind of works in that she is more, like, the fact that she's kind of weirdly attracted to the main character too, and so the fact that it's kind of like, it's kind of, I don't know, it's like, I think it even works in the fact that he's 40 and she's like, 18, 19, 20, something like that.
Yeah.
It's like, it even still kind of works in that it's kind of a creepy relationship.
Yeah,
and I think it's kind of supposed to be a bit of a creepy relationship.
Yeah, it's weird. So I feel like writing is also more impactful when they do stuff that's shocking.
Especially if you've seen how she dresses.
Yeah, exactly. If things are more shocking, like the shock value and like having a weird off relationship that still is technically within the bounds of like acceptable, but kind of taboo in some cultures.
Yes.
It's like also, it adds to, don't be afraid to shy away from things. If you're going to tell a story, go ahead and get out there.
Also, design-wise, the character in Gestalt looks so much better. He looks really, really cool versus the prissy emo rock band edgy, Final Fantasy character.
Like Final Fantasy has extra zippers and buttons on his jacket.
He doesn't look good. I really don't like the main character's design in the I don't remember the other version, but it's Gestalt, and I'm going to have to look it up.
It's okay. I'll talk banter in the meantime while you search that, if you have to focus on that. It's weird. That's weird. I don't know why specifically Japan has that whole thing with dressing boys. I'm not even gonna say guys, boys to be extra edgy. Like, I mean, Final Fantasy 15, I love that game.
Replicant, Gestalt is the 360. The alternate is Replicant for the PlayStation 3. Oh, so apparently no, the canon one is in fact Gestalt, where he plays the older man.
So so even better. I don't know.
Play Gestalt, don't play Replicant.
Final Fantasy 15, I liked.
Or even look up a Let's Play if you have to. That game is just worth checking out.
I don't know why they made Nocturne so prissy. Like, they literally...
What did you say?
Final Fantasy 15.
Oh, they're all...
So Gladio, or as Harley says, Daddio. He is like the coolest. He has the most HP, does the most damage.
Yeah.
He is like the cool character. And then you have Ignis, who is like the gentleman butler, who's like extremely talented with knives. And then you have Prompto and Noctis. And like they're like the Shaggy and Scooby. Give me some Scooby snacks.
And
like
they're all
wimpy.
such pretty boys.
Yeah.
What's the name of the big guy?
Gladio.
Gladio has a mullet.
Oh, he does.
And he's still pretty somehow.
Yeah, he does. I mean, so Solid Snake also has a mullet, right? But like, and he has the same beard. Like, in fact, but he like is still a grizzled cigar eye patch super spy. Yeah. Whereas Gladio is like open chested, perfectly waxed. Not like he doesn't naturally not have it.
70s Nightwing. 70s Nightwing.
Yeah, 70s Nightwing. He doesn't. He like, his chest isn't bare by nature. It's shaved or waxed to be that way. It's like grizzled. Yeah. Yes, Ignis like rubs lotion in between his abs. It's like, like, I don't know.
Prompto's the most random character that they threw in there.
Oh yeah, he's literally the picture boy. He's literally if you haven't played Final Fantasy 15, Play up to chapter 13 and then don't play the rest.
And then stop if you can.
And then don't play the rest after that.
That game tanks so hard.
Altissia is one of the best designed levels I've ever seen, and then immediately after they ditch Altissia for some heavy progression. The game basically ends there and then re-picks up on what I believe should be. If like
Final Fantasy is another one that like what you were talking about.
Yeah, so that game is extremely distant.
It's a series,
but they relate. But I think 15 happens like way before like 7.
7, right? It the events of 15 eventually lead to the problems in 7.
Yeah, if I believe this, if I have this correctly in my head, I might mix match it, but I believe the bad guys in 7 go on to leave that planet and then go to another planet later, and then they like make the corporation that are the bad guys in 7, hundreds of years later.
So the bad guys of 15 make the corporation that are the bad guys of 7.
Yeah, but for the most part, you don't need to ever. There's like no good way to play Final Fantasy like chronologically. They're almost completely unrelated to each other.
You just play Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah,
and then you try to figure out that story.
Yeah, exactly. That has that has a finite way to play it, and then the 13th installment 3 just came out today.
It came out. It came
out.
Do you own it yet?
I don't think I'm gonna own it. So so the thing about it is that a lot of people were trying to.
Though, right?
Harley already got it.
Harley already got it.
Yeah. So Harley's a big.
We have to rip him onto this podcast at some point.
I know. I told him he's doing the review and he said he's down for it.
Great.
Yeah. So Harley loves Kingdom Hearts. I don't like Kingdom Hearts. It's not that I don't like it. It's more that I never played it, and the cringe. It's Final Fantasy meets Disney, right? And like,
yes.
And like,
it is.
Sora is like, a big, goofy, big-shoed.
That should be a topic at some point. What two random arbitrary things that don't belong together do we want to throw together in a video game?
That is, for anyone who doesn't know the story behind Kingdom Hearts, it's literally an elevator pitch of a Square Enix guy and a Disney executive in an elevator. He literally pitched it to him, and they said, "Let's go ahead and do it. Just make sure the story's horrible." And
we need DreamWorks cross. What's another anime? DreamWorks Metal Gear. Metal Gear cross DreamWorks.
Finally, the Shrek game.
That's what we've always wanted.
Oh,
could you imagine
gosh.
a tactical espionage stealth Shrek game of the future?
This is my swamp. Breaks someone's neck from behind.
Yeah.
It was
like,
great.
Hey, you just showed me that tactical espionage Wind Waker.
Oh yeah, I'll post it in video format on this podcast.
Yeah.
There's this great thing I saw on Reddit where it's it's kind of like too far to say ROM hack mod, I guess.
Yeah.
It's a mod. I'm assuming it's the Wii U emulator. Actually, I think I saw GameCube buttons in the corner. So yeah, it's probably Dolphin running with some mods on.
Yeah.
And
it's probably much easier to change the original than the remake.
Probably, yeah. Just some asset changes here and there. So they just put some Metal Gear clothes on Link from Wind Waker, and it looks so good.
Yeah.
It looks great. And then I'm pretty sure they also adjusted the pause menu, so instead of the regular pause menu, it just zooms in on his face and then has like an overlay of the original Metal Gear style. But it looks great. And they didn't even change much. They changed just those two things, and it looks great. There should be more mashups that don't make sense like that. But like Kingdom Hearts, there's 13 installments.
Yeah.
And they are extremely related to each other.
Yes.
And you have to play pretty much the previous 12 games to understand.
Try looking up the storyline.
It's so I believe Kingdom Hearts.
Can follow that nonsense.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to get with Harley on this, but I'm pretty sure that Kingdom Hearts 3 is a sequel to one of the 3DS games.
Okay.
Chronologically,
there you go.
Follows it. I'm not sure. But like that game,
so
that franchise is all over the place, and like they didn't release chronologically, so I feel like you're not supposed to play them chronologically, because you'd be jumping all over the place in terms of quality.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just weird. I feel like that one kind of does, because you kind of grow with Sora with time. Like there's events that are extremely established based off of previous events. So yeah, that one kind of is all series all over the place. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Do games need to be in a series? It's kind of it seems to some degree to depend on the game, maybe?
Yeah, I mean,
I feel like games that are more... Well, so, okay, to Adam's original one where we're talking about, like, does a game need to be related to its predecessor? I feel like the more story you put into a game... No, because Final Fantasy even, right? That's a good example of a game that has tons of story, but has no relation to its previous games.
Every single game has barrels of lore behind each single game, and in the back lore that is, like, never explained... You could tag them like on a red string on a clipboard or on like a bulletin board type thing, but again, you don't have to play any of the Final Fantasies to play any of the Final Fantasies.
Right, and I feel like a pro to keeping the name, I guess, is that any fans of Final Fantasy can easily recognize a new game in the series. It's like, oh, there's another Final Fantasy. And then the con is it's kind of a lack of creativity, but it's only in the title itself that the creativity isn't there.
It's kind of weird, like Zelda. So like Ocarina of Time is like basically the borderline for like the entire franchise.
Yeah.
And that's like the 4th game in the series.
Right.
So after they established that formula, they kind of rolled with it.
Yeah.
But again, if you were to play, let's say, Skyward Sword,
yeah,
you could constantly be like, oh, hey, like pointing fingers at all of these things you're getting, but you could also have never played another Zelda.
Yeah.
In fact, I have almost all the Zeldas. I'm skipping, which ones? Which games don't I have? I don't have the Four Swords Adventure.
Okay.
And...
do you have Spirit Tracks or Phantom Hourglass?
I had Phantom Hourglass when you gave it to me for a while.
Yes.
And Spirit Tracks is one of the ones I also don't have.
Okay.
And that's...
do you have Seasons, Oracle Seasons?
Yes, I have both of those ones. I don't have the ones that aren't real. The Wand of Gamelon, Faces of Evil. Those ones aren't real. Those ones are not real.
And they never will be.
Yeah, they never will be. Yeah, they're Philips CDI knockoff.
Nothing Philips
official knockoff.
CDI ever made.
Yeah, exactly. But I have all the other Zeldas, and my first game that I played was Twilight Princess.
Okay.
And I own that game like 3 times now.
Yeah.
On 3 different versions.
So are you glad that they made all of those Legend of Zelda, or would you have been okay if those were all their own unique games when they kind of were their own unique
I'm
games?
extremely happy that those are all part of one
Legend of Zelda series.
Like, yeah, I'm not that guy who has like a Triforce vinyl on the back left corner of his windshield because I played a game in the series and I own a Zelda hat.
I have the Skyward Sword logo tramp stamp.
Yeah. I don't know how that exploded up with the hipster crowd like for no reason. Like, I legitimately enjoyed Zelda before it became like, there was it's the greatest game of all time according to Metacritic for multiple reasons. I'm assuming one of them being before, not every average Joe can go review games, and it's too late to possibly change its score at this point.
Right.
So technically, it's the highest reviewed game of all time, but I didn't have any nostalgia for that game.
Which one are we talking about? Sorry.
Ocarina of Time.
Ocarina of Time.
I didn't have any nostalgia for that game. I didn't know any of the hidden stuff, and
people listening should know I'm not a Nintendo person. My first console was technically a Game Boy Advance, but I've never owned a Nintendo console otherwise. I owned a Wii, and I own a Switch, but I only have 3 games for Switch. Like, I'm really not a Nintendo person.
I have every Nintendo console except for the Virtual Boy.
Right, so that's a good difference between the two.
And every Sony console. Actually, I have every console that ever had popularity excluding Xbox One.
You have a 360? I have
3 360s.
You have 3 360s. Oh my
so,
God.
yeah,
Do you have the original Xbox?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we played Shrek on it.
Yes, sorry. That's right. We did play Shrek on it.
Yeah, so I'm extremely happy. Twilight Princess was I always thought Zelda was like gross high fantasy before I ever played it because I was like, whatever, in 8th grade, and I was like, whatever, this is stupid. He has green shorts.
I originally thought Halo was a side-scroll platformer when I heard of it in elementary school.
Wow.
Before I ever saw the game, when someone was just describing to me the plot of Halo, I thought it was a side-scroll platformer because no one ever said FPS while I was in elementary. I was in 5th grade.
Yeah.
So
again, I love Twilight Princess. And
so in this case, we're saying, is it good to serialize? And it's like, yeah, if you want to commit to making really good games, then yes. But again,
Twilight. Oh, so all the Zelda series they all have a well-told story.
Yes.
But they're like also not well told. It's kind of like
vaguely told.
Yeah, it's kind of like they make a story.
Right.
But Link never talks.
Right.
And then for the most part, everyone doesn't know the story as it's happening. Like there's not going to be an NPC that spills the entire beans that you don't understand.
Right.
They write a story, and then they make the game, and then they insert the story where it's prevalent for the most part.
Like, my favorite joke about Legend of Zelda is that Link never agrees to anything. He gets roped into the weirdest nonsense
my gosh,
the entire time.
Yeah, no, he's like Twilight Princess. He is literally he's a goat farmer or a goat shepherd or something, and
then he's like kidnapped and turned into a wolf.
Kidnapped and turned into a wolf.
Forced into the weirdest plot
of
all time.
The whole point of that game is that his girlfriend gets kidnapped when he gets turned into a wolf, and he wants to go get her back. He gets her back halfway through the game.
Yeah.
But she doesn't have her memory.
Yeah.
And then from that point, like, what does it matter? He can just stop that whole venture.
Right.
But upon his adventures, he finds out that all this dismay is happening.
Right.
And he gets Scooby-Dooed into becoming the hero, of Twilight. And again, like, seriously, he goes through so much in every single game.
If anyone's familiar with the former YouTube channel that's now ended, the Super Best Friends, they did a playthrough of the remake of Twilight Princess, and the joke they constantly make was like, Link, if he could talk, the only thing he'd ever say is "pay me." Like, I have nothing to do with this. Give me money for this.
Oh my gosh! So I love Wind Waker. I love everything about it. I always have. Again, I started the Zelda series late, so I had no nostalgia and I had no expectations for any of the games going into it.
Yeah.
Love all of them, of course, but Wind Waker, the fact that if you play Wind Waker last in the series, like I kind of did, because I played Twilight Princess, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Skyward Sword. I bounced around all over the place.
Yeah.
But Wind Waker, I specifically played the GameCube game. Was one of the last games I played, and I just loved how, because the other games are like, so Link doesn't talk. He doesn't have that many facial. He has Hia and
Yeah.
And that's basically it.
Yeah.
But Wind Waker, he says even less somehow.
Yeah.
But his face is so expression.
Yes.
He has so many expressions. It's beautiful.
The most relatable Link is probably the cartoon Wind Waker style Link.
At one point, Tetra, which is actually we don't need to spoil. There's no reason to spoil.
No.
So Tetra, who is a pirate girl, she takes Link on her pirate ship to this fortress.
Yeah.
And she's like, we got to get in there, but how can we get in there? And she looks at Link slowly, and Link is looking off in the distance, eyes in different directions.
Yeah.
He doesn't even care.
He has the most vacant stare.
Yeah, he doesn't care. He's
all you can see is his head.
Yeah,
it's just him just not caring.
Yeah, it's him not caring, and the camera zooms in, and when it zooms out, he's tied up in a barrel, and he looks, and he's on a catapult, and he looks down, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, what's happening?" And his eyes, and he's just horrified. They're
You've
huge.
never seen more panic.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh my gosh!" And they start counting down. We're gonna launch you in 3, and he's freaking out, and then the number goes to 2, and he's straight face, he's ready for this, and then when they get down to 1, he closes his eyes and he's accepted his death. And then they launch him in.
He's prayed to his gods.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. They made so much expression out of such an expressionless character.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. It's I know the topic is, should games have a series, but because he's kind of expressionless and says nothing, they have more liberty to not have to be in a series.
Yeah.
Again, I guess every single Legend of Zelda cannot be a Legend of Zelda game.
Right.
And it wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
But because it has this overarching history. If you played Ocarina of Time, which again is the central focal point of the entire Zelda series, then there's going to be tons and tons of references to everything you do. But every single game happens almost millennia away from the previous. There's only a couple that have direct sequels, Spirit Tracks. Actually, no, sorry. Phantom Hourglass is a direct sequel to Wind Waker.
Yes.
Majora's Mask is a direct sequel to Ocarina of Time.
By a big amount.
And that's pretty much it for the most part. The rest happen millennia away from each other.
Though that does remind me a lot of the way you phrase that reminded me. I actually got super annoyed by the Yarn and Wooly series, the Kirby's Epic Yarn.
Yeah.
Where it's just no, that wasn't a Kirby game.
Oh yeah, that was so the secondary character. What is his name?
Prince.
He's the Prince Yarny.
Yarny?
Whatever his name is. Yeah, the little blue guy, I think, is his color. That was his own game.
Yes.
That was his own game. It wasn't a Kirby game. And then they just Scooby-Dooed Kirby. I use Scooby-Doo as a weird verb. They Scooby-Dooed Kirby in there, and it became a Kirby game. And
Versus Yoshi's Woolly World was actually a Yoshi's Island game.
Yeah, that's a Yoshi game. That is a full-on Yoshi game.
Right.
And
so that is a good example of a game that I thought shouldn't have been a part of that series. I don't think Kirby's Epic Yarn should have been a Kirby game.
Yeah. In fact, what is that one game that wasn't Star Fox Adventures?
Yeah.
That was Dinosaur Planet. And then they shoved Star Fox in there, and because they did so, that game is it abandons what the rest of the series is about. That game is just in there for the sake of being in there, and that's
Prince Fluff.
Prince Fluff. There we go. So that's a weird.
Yeah.
Weird
well,
name.
we're not bagging on this. We're not counting
those aren't bad games, by the way.
No, Kirby's Air Ride or Mario Kart. Those don't count.
Yeah,
we're not saying that's throwing Mario on a kart game. It's okay. But okay, I don't know.
Yeah, no,
or Smash Brothers. Smash Brothers is good.
Yeah, I mean that was that also was in the franchise. That was Dragon King the fighting game.
Yeah.
Yeah, before they shoved Nintendo. Actually, no, the other way around. Sakurai thought this game wouldn't sell.
Yeah.
Without mainstay characters, so they, without permission, shoved in 4 characters, and then everyone loved it, and now it's.
Right.
I don't know if you heard, but Smash Bros. Set the record for the most sold console exclusive ever.
Hey!
Or fastest selling console exclusive ever?
That's cool.
I think fastest selling.
They deserve it. And that's the thing. We're not talking about those. Those are great.
I think the previous was ODST or Reach. Was the previous fastest selling console exclusive.
Huh. So that was kind of, I feel like, answered your idea of it. Okay, so let's talk about, real quick, to wrap up my version of that story, which is, does a game need a sequel because it's good?
Yes.
It's like, it's hard to think of games that I can think of, like, definitely probably shouldn't have had sequels. But it's like, if you played a game, the game was really good, does it have to be serialized? Does it now have to turn into God of War never ending? I think they have like 7 game plans for the new series or something like that.
Really?
When the game came out, they had like 7 games in the works for the new God of War type series.
I didn't even know that.
It's ridiculous. And it's like just because a game's popular, do you have to milk it like that?
I'm really fine with 1.5e games. Like, I love Ocarina of Time. I really do. Majora's Mask is tied for my favorite game of all time.
Yes, Majora's Mask is my favorite Zelda game. I really like Phantom Hourglass, but I'm the only person, so I usually say Majora's Mask because more people agree with me.
Or if you want me to stop talking about Nintendo, what about Assassin's Creed Brotherhood? Is one of the best.
Oh my goodness.
0.5.
Yes.
Like massive improvements to any game I've ever seen. Where they
Absolutely.
It was like
Assassin's Creed 1 to Assassin's Creed 2, blown out of the water. Assassin's Creed 2 to Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. The story wasn't as good, but otherwise, mechanic-wise, blew it out of the water.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like
Revelations shouldn't have been made.
It shouldn't have been made. They should have just ended it right there. Honestly, it's weird, or continued Brotherhood even harder.
Right.
Honestly, because that was just, that game felt like it came out like a year and a half later.
Yeah.
And I remember like, wow, that's really fast for a game. Like
I believe Revelations was the first one to come out a year after the previous Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, it was just weird how fast. I mean, Brotherhood is like literally Assassin's Creed. Here's some more.
Yes.
Here's the direct sequel to this game.
Oh, and they nailed it.
And they kept everything that was good, and then all the mechanics they could fix, they fixed.
Yes.
And it was really good. They made the counter flow system, which is great.
It's still, I want to say, like, the best combat of any Assassin's Creed games is definitely, well, I mean, whatever. I'm not counting like Origins. If you're into the Origin style combat, that's all you. But as far as like classic Assassin's Creed style combat, the one that did it best was definitely Brotherhood.
Also, fun trivia. According to the end of Assassin's Creed 3, there's 3 symbols that are shown: an Egyptian hieroglyph, the Omega symbol in the old Greek language, and a Japanese character. So I believe it's supposed to signalize that the next Assassin's Creed game is going to take place in hopefully
Japan.
Well, I don't actually know my symbols too well, so an Asian dialect of some.
We don't know.
Yeah, so I'm assuming
the problem is that we've already done China, so I'm guessing they won't do China.
Yeah, that's what I was assuming. And the China wasn't even a mainstay, so I'm assuming feudal Japan will probably be the target hit.
So we had Egypt, and then we had Spartans. Yes, okay, gotcha. And then the next one we're thinking will be. It would be weird if it was Korea, but yeah, I'm guessing it'll probably be like.
You never know.
Yeah, you never know.
I mean.
I bet it'll be feudal Japan though. I don't think Assassin's Creed is original enough to not.
Yeah, that is the most romanticized. I feel like.
Yeah.
Space.
That is a series that went on for maybe.
Way too long. See.
Too long.
That they should have. Revelation should have never been made.
Revelation shouldn't have been made.
Shouldn't have been made. That should have been a movie. It would have been a really cool movie.
Embers was an interesting movie, and it probably would have been better if they instead done something more like Revelations.
Yeah, cut out Embers, take that same team and gave them more time and just did Revelations. That should have been a movie. It even sounds like Revelations.
Yeah.
It like doesn't fit any of the previous like mainstay naming. They went for like an obtuse out of the way. It feels like they shoehorned Ezio into the Middle East. Like they literally just and Middle East. Like they threw something at a dartboard. It said Middle East. Here's where Ezio's going.
That being said, one of my favorite jokes on the Assassin's Creed series is in Revelations, but they could have put that in a movie. It was just a joke.
it's I don't know. It should have never been made. But Assassin's Creed 4, Black Flag, is the best Pirates of the Caribbean game. Pirate game in general, I guess. But that didn't have to be.
Rogue improved on it, but I've never played Rogue.
Yeah. I didn't either.
I own Rogue.
I own Rogue as well. Free PS Plus.
Maybe someday.
Maybe. But that's a great pirate game, and Assassin's Creed is very not piratey. It's like it's very assassiny. I feel like the Renaissance area of that game hit it to such a T. I mean, again, I haven't played Origins or the newest one, and I hear the new Odyssey is like by far the best. Is what I've been the current mainstay.
Yeah.
I guess they improved on a lot of stuff, like every mechanical flaw that for some reason was introduced.
But
in the
it's an
newer
RPG
game.
now, and I'm just not a big RPG fan.
It is an RPG. And I believe there's some paywalls. I'm not sure exactly how that works. And then they're doing that Ubisoft greedy thing where like different editions come with different nonsense.
Yeah,
but
and I don't think you have a hidden blade or anything.
I mean, honestly, to be fair, I'm fine with not having a hidden blade. I was fine with Assassin's Creed 3, but I hated the character. Connor was...
Some people really liked Connor, though. I mean, I'll give it... He's kind of a polarizing character. I didn't like him personally. I thought he was a little whiny baby.
I liked Connor's reasons. I liked how he was...
Yes. My best example of why Connor didn't work so well is when he walks up to... they just finished the speech with Patrick Henry, the no taxation without representation speech, and Connor walks up to the courthouse, and he's like, you guys told me we're gonna do something for this to fight against the British, like, and we've done nothing. Like, Connor, we're on our way to do something right now. Like,
yeah,
and he's freaking out. He's so angry at them, and they're like, we're in the middle of the Boston Tea Party. Like, like
you don't know this yet, but this is a big...
it's like, Connor, calm down. Like, we're working on it.
I get why he's angry. Like, the way they wrote his ambitions are like very well written. It's just the execution of the character.
What's the old man? Archimedes? What's his name?
I can't remember.
He was well written.
He was extremely well written.
Spectacular.
And then, oh my god, when you find out at the... Spoiler. This game's old, so spoilers. When you find out at the end that the reason he was named Connor is because that was his deceased son's name.
Yeah.
And then and then Connor buries him out back with his family of his own, like, homestead. That was great. That was great. But again, it was like, I don't know. And then they made Connor ugly at the end when they gave him, like, that shaved...
Yeah.
And then you couldn't, like, not have that shaved head for the rest.
Weirdly, secretly, my favorite Assassin's Creed game is the non-canon DLC for Assassin's Creed 3, The Tyranny of King Washington.
Yeah.
Tyranny of King Washington was so good. And it's very short, but it felt like that was... They basically add, like, nonsense magic into Assassin's Creed, and they're like, have fun. And it's like, oh, that was so much fun to play. And it's really short. I recommend it. If you have Assassin's Creed 3 and you didn't play Tyranny of King Washington, go back and play Tyranny of King Washington. It's really short. It's really worth checking out.
Yeah. So I guess that's our 2 cents on series games.
Yeah.
I mean, however you want to interpret it or your input, you know.
Hey, let us know in the comments below what you think. Yeah.
Because for sure, I mean, we do we're so small
yes.
that we can honestly check all the comments and likes and stuff.
I think I got a comment on one video that was like, I love how you guys always check your comments, and I didn't reply to it but I was like, it's like, we get so few comments that it's not that difficult.
Yeah. There was one where it was like, I really enjoy your guys' content and stuff and whatnot, and I'm really happy that you guys still do things and whatnot and cool. And what was it? I'll have to look at it specifically, but it was like really heartwarming, and I was like, oh wow, you know, it's cool that people actually, you know, watch, not just because we're there, but more like, oh hey,
this channel, we're kind of in it for the discussion. Like, if you want to join us, we're open to that. That's kind of, you know, we want to talk about games, talk about gaming. So join us, and you know,
we have fun.
We have fun.
We do it for fun. This is fun. This is what true love and discussion is all about.
Yeah. So with that, I think this topic's over. So we'll see you guys around in the next video or whatever else we do. Zoink out.
Zoink out.